All right, good evening. Welcome to this special edition of Profit 360. I'm Vishwanath Nair, and today on this special show, we will be giving you exclusive details of how a financial web that stretches from boardrooms to backrooms, where public money, shady loans, and big names are colliding.
That's right, Vishwanath, because Yes Bank's loan book is under the scanner again, but this time it's not just about mismanagement. It's about alleged bribes, backdated approvals, and a 14,000 crore trail that leads straight to Anil Ambani.
Right, so the Enforcement Directorate is now investigating whether Yes Bank officials looked the other way as money was being funneled to defaulters. And at the heart of it all is Reliance Communications and other Anil Ambani Group companies. Once a telecom giant, now a defaulter being branded as a fraudulent account by India's largest public sector bank. To bring us more details, let me go across to my colleague Shrimi to take us through what exactly happened today. Shrimi.
Yes, Vishy. So, the Enforcement Directorate has launched a sweeping investigation into Reliance Anil Dhirubhai Ambani group companies. And in fact, it's uncovering and what it calls the well-planned and deliberate scheme to siphon off 1,000 crores of loans through shell companies. And in fact, this is the move coming after the FIR, which is being launched by Central Bureau of Investigation, and where now ED is taking up this probe under PMLA, Prevention of Money Laundering Act. So what ED sources are telling us that they are probing a very serious allegations of money laundering and the diversion of loan amount worth 3,000 crore and from the Yes Bank, and that is between 2017 and 2019. And in fact, the search operation has been conducted since morning, covering 35 premises of at least 25 top senior executives of these companies, and they have also kind of searched 50 such companies is what inputs are coming from the sources in the Enforcement Directorate. And in fact, certain red flags ED is kind of giving at this point of time, like the kind of shell companies being used, the faking documents, as well as the evergreening. And in fact, it's pointed out that how RHFL corporate loan jumped from somewhere 3,742 crore to 8,670 crore, and that is also coming now under ED scanner. In fact, the ED is also kind of citing the undisclosed foreign income as well, and in fact, it's saying that some of those fraudulent account, declared by SBI as well as the Canara Bank is soon to take up by CBI. They are going to file a formal complaint on that, and that will also be the part of the PMLA investigation. Rishi?
Right, Shrimi, thanks so much for that update. Stay with us. This is obviously not really beginning today. All of these ED searches didn't begin today. There is a pretty intricate web and a paper trail that the ED is actually following, because let's remember, it's not just started out with these searches that have taken place today. This is actually following these FIRs that were registered by the CBI, which have alleged large-scale financial irregularities. Now, as part of the operation, like Shrimi rightly mentioned, we saw the ED officials searching and examining records of over 50 firms allegedly connected to the case, and we're also seeing close to 25 individuals that have also been questioned. We'll get you details of that in just a moment. But before that, let me quickly go across now. We have Ashwin Thul, advocate, standing by and joining us for more details on this particular case. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. Advocate Ashwin Thul, practicing in the Bombay High Court and the Supreme Court. First, take us through, your insight into this entire case. This is not something that is just recent. We're looking at this actually going right up to 2017. And this is also not the first time that, Reliance Communication or Anil Ambani have actually come up as being fraudulent. Of course, the irregularities aspect has been delved into only now, but we're looking at something that dates back to as early as 2017.
That's right. So I wouldn't be in a position to tell you too much about this case other than what is already available in the public domain. But the way usually the ED investigations are conducted is only after there has been a predicate offense that is registered. It's only after a proceed of crime that is received from a predicate offense, which in this case is obviously the allegation being that the money has been siphoned off, public money has been siphoned off. There has been a lot of loan taken to maybe green loan, another loan. All these sanctions of these loans by several other entities involved were done without following the norms, rules, and especially when you're dealing with public money, there are a lot of rules and regulations that the banks or NBFCs or any of them have to follow. So given that there has been a violation or there is an allegation of violation, the investigating agencies such as CBI are entitled to look into this because they have to look after where there is public money involved. And once it is found that there is some kind of, well, you have to be mindful of the fact that the Enforcement Directorate usually starts the inquiry by way of an ECIR. And it is only when they have, and that's what the legislation mandates, that only when they have substantial material and a reason to believe that the offense of laundering has been committed, and that reason to believe has to be in writing. So only after, I think, a lot of search, as you rightly pointed out, that after looking at several documents, they must have come to some kind of a conclusion that there appears to be a reason to believe that some amount of laundering has taken place, that they have now carried out these searches.
Thank you so much for that, and stay with us because we also have Sriram Subramanian, MD and founder InGovern, joining us. Sriram, welcome to NDTV Profit. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. What changes or what would you actually look at in terms of recommendations of how banks assess large corporate loans, especially in cases like this where we've seen that promoters may have a history of defaults or questionable governance?
I think, firstly, there used to be a scenario of phone banking where loans would be sanctioned just by politicians or businessmen calling and by the names of the business groups. The credit committee's appraisal and other factors should definitely be taken into account. The project metrics should be taken into account. And one individual within a bank should not override credit decisions and loan sanction decisions. That is happening. That happened with Yes Bank. That happened with many public sector banks in the erstwhile. Probably even today in smaller amounts, it is still happening at branch levels or at other levels, zonal levels. Unfortunately, politicians tend to have a big say, and banks also tend to be pliable from that perspective. But vigilance within the bank should increase. They should think that they are actually sort of custodians of the funds, of depositors, of shareholder funds. Only then it will be good banking.
Okay, let me come back to Ashwin. Ashwin, what does it legally mean when a borrower is declared fraudulent by a bank? Does it automatically then lead to a CBI case?
So it's not as automatic as that. As I said, banks usually conduct their own investigation and see whether their norms have been followed, whether how has been the conduct of the borrower vis-a-vis returning the money. Is it a bona fide default? They do also whether there have been, because there are all these committees who usually sit to ascertain whether a certain bank should be given to a certain entity or no. So whether all those rules have been followed, and if not, then after conducting their report, they usually submit a complaint to the investigating authorities such as the CBI. And usually what I have seen is that when a responsible authority like any bank does submit something like a State Bank of India or a Central Bank of India does submit a complaint, the cognizance of it is taken very seriously by investigating agencies, and they usually immediately act upon it, and they also act upon their internal report to navigate through their own investigation.
Right. Thank you so much, Ashwin. Ashish, I'm sorry. I just want to go across to my colleague Shrimi for a quick news break that has come in. And this is coming from sources who are telling us that the ED has found serious charges of fund diversion that have happened in Reliance Infra. specifically about 10,000 crore rupees worth of funds that were diverted through this company. And this is the only listed company currently from the Anil Ambani Reliance group of companies. Shrimi, if you can take us through the details of what exactly you found from your sources.
Clearly, Vishy, it seems like ED widening its probe and all companies are coming now under scanner. The sources tells us, and this is the information we are breaking here at NDTV Profit, that around 2,800 crore investment by Reliance Mutual Funds and Yes Bank 81 bonds are now under scanner. That investigation will go on, and in fact there also the ED suspect quid pro quo. In fact, it's flagging how the bonds later written off. It says that a huge amount of public money get lost because of this the entire quid pro quo, which ED is flagging off at this point of time. In fact, Reliance Mutual Funds, Yes Bank bond investment is also raising alarm, is what ED hinting at. The total uncovered, if you see, it's 10,000 crore of diversion by Reliance Infra via undisclosed C company is what investigation reveals so far. It also says that how 5,480 crore haircut by Reliance Infra, where only 4 crore has been recovered so far in cash. Then they are also talking about how these rest kind of settle through non-operational DISCOM recovery seen as unlikely. So the source is telling us here that the DISCOM used in around 6,400 crore settlement are also defunct. So clearly this ED is widening its probe, and we will see, Vishy, more action, more search operation coming in most of these companies where the red flags are coming from the investigator side.
Right, Shrimi, thanks so much for those updates. We'll continue tracking that. Stay with us. But let me quickly go back to Sriram Subramaniam, who's still with us. Would you say for retail shareholders who had invested in Yes Bank back then, what recourse, if any, would they have when governance failures lead to such large-scale frauds like this?
I don't think they need to fear anything, retail shareholders of Yes Bank, because Yes Bank had in 2020 had a change in management, recapitalization, and shareholders, of course, were different. SBI stepped in, the new management stepped in. Rana Kapoor, who was the erstwhile management, was arrested. So there is a marked difference between the Yes Bank of today and the Yes Bank of then, when all these loans were sanctioned. Be that as it may be, I would think if Yes Bank is able to recover any of these amounts, for that matter, it may add to the bottom line of the bank. But I would doubt whether any of these is recoverable. This will drag on for years in courts. And I don't think there is anything positive or negative for Yes Bank, today's Yes Bank.
Right, Sriram Subramaniam and Ashwin and my colleague Shrimi, please stay with us. But this is something that, like we've been saying, hasn't really begun with these ED searches today. There's been a pretty intricate web and a paper trail that the ED is following. And to give us a background of this entire case, dating back to almost 2017, Vishwanath, give us the details. How were these loans sanctioned and who's under the scanner? Give us all the context.
Right. So just taking you through some of the context that has been set through what our sources are telling us at NDTV Profit here right now. So if you were to look at what exactly led to this entire thing, between 2017 and 2019, a number of transactions took place between Yes Bank as well as the Reliance Anil Ambani Group companies. Essentially, a 3,000 crore loan was approved by Yes Bank and given to the Reliance Anil Ambani Group companies, and then those funds were being diverted. Let's try and understand how exactly the questions were raised in this question, specifically credit approval memorandums, which CAMs is the usual term that is used. These were backdated to ensure that the loans are in compliance. Furthermore, investments were proposed without any thorough due diligence or credit analysis to these Reliance Group companies. The other important point that sources are telling us that ED has found is that the loans were diverted to many group companies and other shell companies so that they can be siphoned off and out of the system. Loans were given to entities which had weak financials. Clearly, their financial strength wasn't there to be receiving these loans. The documentation on these loans was also not proper. That's clear from also the CAM's backdated system that has been followed here. Due diligence was not being conducted by the bank officials at that point in time between 2017 and 19, while the loans were being extended to these Raga companies. Borrowers have had common addresses, they've had common directors. This is clearly a red flag that banks watch out for before giving loans to any group companies. Another thing is that loans that were given to these companies were then onward lent, meaning that in the form of a corporate loan was extended to other group entities and shell companies on the same date that they were received by the original borrower from Yes Bank. Apart from what has happened here, we also need to look at which other entities are under the scanner at this point in time. If you were to look at the details that have been shared by SEBI to the Enforcement Directorate, they've actually pointed out Reliance Home Finance as a company where there were a number of loans that were being extended, corporate loans specifically. And there has been a dramatic increase in the corporate loans extended by Reliance Home Finance between FY18 and FY19. So in this period of time, a lot of money has gone out of Reliance Home Finance. Another big company, which we mentioned earlier in the show, Reliance Communications, that is already in the midst of a fraud allegation by State Bank of India. SBI has actually declared RCom as a fraud for diverting funds and misusing the loans. What we also know is about Canara Bank. Now, Canara Bank has declared RCom as a fraud for loans involving roughly about 1,050 odd crore, which were borrowed by this company. So that while that tag had happened a while back, Canara Bank was forced to withdraw that fraud tag because the Supreme Court order had required banks to give due personal hearing to all the borrowers before classifying them as fraud. So Canara Bank is in the process of doing that. In fact, the management was speaking on an earnings call earlier, and to our question, they responded that our stance on the account has not changed. However, we will follow whatever the Supreme Court order is and ensure that we are in compliance with the order.
Right, Vishwanath, thanks so much for those that very, very comprehensive insight and background into the case. But let me quickly also go across to this ground report filed by my colleague Paras Dama just a while ago from Ballard Estate in Mumbai. Let's go over to that.
The Enforcement Directorate, which is investigating thoroughly in money laundering case in the country, has today started the search operation in more than 30 to 40 places in Mumbai and other part of the countries. This whole incident is regarding the FIR which was filed by CBI. After this, the ED started investigating this entire scam. Many agencies help in the investigation, including institutions like National Housing Bank, SEBI, National Finance Reporting Authorities, and Bank of Baroda. This entire case is regarding Reliance Anil Ambani group companies suspected of money laundering of rupees 3,000 crore is in now scanner of Enforcement Directorate. The thing that came to light in the initial investigation of ED are shocking. It is being told that under a well-planned conspiracy, money was diverted by banks, shareholders and common investors. Not only this, there are allegations of bribing Yes Bank officials. The role of the bank prompter himself is also under investigation. According to ED sources, it is suspected that loans worth about rupees 3,000 crore were taken from a bank between 2017 and 2019, and during the same period, money was also sent directly to the bank promoters. This is the ground for the scam was prepared even before the loan was approved. The investigation also revealed that the necessary documents for the companies to which the Yes Bank gave loan were also prepared later. There were blatant violation of the bank loan policy. Huge loans were given without any financial check or documents. Still, from the morning, this search operation is going on in the different parts of Mumbai and the different states of a country, and over there, ED is continuously searching for many clues.
All right, so that was Paras who was doing a show right outside, actually a quick shot from right outside the premises where the ED is conducting those investigations. Now, I want to go to Advocate Ashwin Thul. So, Mr. Thul, just help me understand here. Prevention of Money Laundering Act, the PMLA, under which these actions are being undertaken by the Enforcement Directorate. What does this lead to? Let's say that the ED is able to prove in court that these allegations are actual fact and the court accepts that. Now, of course, this is sometime in the future, but what exactly does that lead to? How does the court typically take these PMLA cases and the decisions that the court takes after?
You see, primarily what the ED does in their investigation is that they follow the trail of the proceed of crime. Now, in an offense like this, there are two types of procedures. One is the kickback, the alleged kickback that the public servant has received. And the second is whatever has come out. So, for example, the loan itself could also be treated as a proceed of crime. Now, anywhere and everywhere where this money has traveled, the entire trace is going to be pulled out. The ED officers do have the power to seize and attach properties. These properties then can be put before the adjudicating officer, and then those can be appropriated, and whatever the money or whoever is seeking claims from it can benefit from or make a claim before the adjudicating officer and take whatever recovery he can. That is one aspect. The other is, of course, the whole process of proving and the trial of the entire whether the offense of converting the money from black to white has actually taken place. Now, these the twin conditions which is usually used to arrest people under this law is a stringent one which does not allow bail. So if anybody gets arrested, then the securing any bail pending trial is a very, very uphill task, and it's been in the news since the past so many years. Other than that, once the trial takes place, then if one is found guilty, then the punishment is up to 7 years. But we've seen that the process of trial, because the volume is so heavy of these investigations and these cases, there's massive paperwork involved. It takes a lot of time in proving the whole Evidence Act. Following those entire process takes a lot of time, and sometimes and therefore we've not seen the then culminating very soon or seen too many convictions under it, as we've seen in the past, recent past about it.
Understood that. I want to go to Sriram Subramanian. Mr. Subramanian, I just wanted to get your view on, earlier to my colleague's question, you said that shareholders don't need to worry, and that may be true. But there is an 81 bond and a bunch of retail investors who had put money there. And while that case has already been through multiple courts over the validity of those 81 bonds, the courts have stood firm that they had to be written off. But if investors are able to point out that maybe there were fraudulent investments in those 81 bonds, is there something that can be done from the bank's point of view?
I don't think there is recourse to the decisions that have been taken from giving loans to dubious corporations like the ADAG group. So I don't think the bank, because the 81 bonds is on the liability side, it is commingled with other probably healthy loans that were given by the bank. So it cannot be figured out that those the 81 funds that were raised were specifically apportioned towards the ADAG group or any other group for that matter. So from that perspective, we cannot club these two transactions, so to say.
Right. Thank you so much for that great insight, and thank you to Ashwin and my colleague Shrimi, who have been standing by with these very crucial updates that we have been bringing you since the morning exclusively on NDTV Profit. But like we've been saying, key questions still emerging from this entire case, Vishwanath. One is, of course, who pays for these fund diversions by the Anil Ambani Reliance Communications Group? Why has ED taken so long to begin these investigations? And more importantly, and an overarching one, how far can this corrupt nexus go? We'll continue addressing those and bringing you all of the latest. But for now, it's a wrap on this special show, and more news and updates after this very short break on NDTV Profit.
हेलो बोलिए मैडम, डब्बा ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा।
We investigated a shady advisory firm that has spent big bucks on advertising on the front pages of national dailies.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसा हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है?
मैडम एक बात को खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ, कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं?
After our report, we also saw NSE came out with a cautionary circular to the investors. Market Regulator, Securities and Exchange Board of India has also come out with a release talking about the actions that it has taken. Cyber complaint has also been filed against the entities involved in this entire Dabba trading scam.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold ICICI CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
हेलो बोलिए मैडम, डब्बा ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा।
We investigated a shady advisory firm that has spent big bucks on advertising on the front pages of national dailies.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसा हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है?
मैडम एक बात को खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ, कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं?
After our report, we also saw NSE came out with a cautionary circular to the investors. Market Regulator, Securities and Exchange Board of India has also come out with a release talking about the actions that it has taken. Cyber complaint has also been filed against the entities involved in this entire Dabba trading scam.
Hello and welcome. You're watching KYC. I'm Harsh Saita. With me is my Mawasha Jani, and today we're going to dissect Bikaji Foods. Of course, the numbers, but outside of that, there's plenty of things happening with regard to this large player within the packaged food segment. Let me first start off with volumes. Well, volume growth in core markets is, of course, on a high base.